Hey YouTube, this is EbMagician34, and I have the review of the brand new structure deck Malik, or Marik, depending on who you ask. And let me tell you, it's actually one of the most impressive pre-constructed decks I've seen in a long time as far as value for your money. It's a really it's a good breath of fresh air considering the Legendary Collection, which I recently reviewed, which was a lot less impressive. I was actually going to single out good picks in here, but honestly, most of the deck is good stuff, so it really warrants going through the whole deck. Lava Golem, quite useful with Herald of Perfection running around right now. If you don't already have this staple, he can be hard to come by, although he is kind of cheap, but now he's super easy to get, so no problem there. Gilgarth, well, he's exciting for collectors, I guess, because he was a hard-to-get secret rare before this, but not terribly playable. Tomato, can't ever get enough of him. Okay, these aren't terribly exciting. There's kind of nifty cards. Even Eudora is not really that great. Hey, here's a card that was way overdue for a reprint, and you get two in the deck when you buy it, which is just awesome. This card has needed a really easy-to-get printing, which there really hasn't been for years and years. So to have it finally very readily available is so refreshing. Better late than never. So this is a great reason to buy the deck right here. It's just Gravekeeper's Spy. But they didn't stop at that. Okay, well anyway. Curse, not so great. Guard, yeah, he wasn't really hard to get. He's a good card to have like one of, because he can often complement the Spies. But still, I mean, with Crush Card gone, he's not quite as enticing as he used to be, but he's still a good card to have. Spirit Soldier, and if you're building Gravekeepers like the actual deck, he's okay. Same goes for the Chief. He's good. Cannon Holder, yuck. Not really that great. Assailants, once again, if you're building the Gravekeeper deck itself with Necro Valleys, this is a very good card. So that's quite nice. Not necessarily great on his own in just any old deck. Dralago, not so great. Boganian, nope. Commandant, hey, it's the little, like, living terraforming for Necro Valley. That's not bad. And he's solid in his own right, so yeah, he's quite good. Visionary, yeah, he was very recently printed, so to get this reprint of what was previously a foil card, not bad at all. So if you actually do want to build Necro Valley, I mean, this deck practically builds itself. With very few changes, you can build a good Gravekeeper deck, which isn't really Tier 1 at all. It's debatable whether it's even Tier 2. But still, it's a solid deck, and if you want to just play around at your locals, it's consistent, and it could certainly win a locals. So to have cards like that, and certainly, oh, Gravekeeper's Descendant. It was only a regular rare, but now you're guaranteed to get one, and, you know, nobody's going to be really rough about trading this to you. I mean, this will be easy to get now. Just might as well buy the deck. MST, well, duh. But if you're just starting out, it's a great card to pick up out of this deck. Steel Cage, yeah. Creature Swap's okay. Hey, another copy of Book of Moon to make sure that everybody has access to 3 copies, and there's no excuse not to. So, that's a good card. Dark Rune, not really that exciting. Hey, it's Necro Valley. That screws up a lot of decks. And they include 2, once again. This deck is such a good value. Because of Spy and Necro Valley at 2, really, you can buy 2 copies of this deck and get everything you need, like a playset of it, and be perfectly happy. So there's not the need to go ahead and buy that 3rd copy of the deck to absolutely get all your bases covered. I mean, if you want to, there are some advantages to it, but really, buying 1, maybe 2 copies of this deck is all you'll ever need to buy, so it's economical, too. Foolish Burial, if you didn't already have it, you really need it. It's a very good card. It's often, and it's kind of a format staple. Some deck in the format's going to want it, and or have to have it. So if you didn't already have it, this is a great way to pick it up. Excavation, every now and then some combo deck needs it, not bad. Okay, this did get its easy to get printing before, but in case you missed it or you're just joining into Yu-Gi-Oh! Now and maybe don't have such easy access to this, hey, now there's a common printing, so there's no reason not to have Allure of Darkness, which is such a very solid draw card. So, that's good. Okay, I kind of wanted the alternate art version of Acid Trap Hole to come out instead of a reprint of the original art that we got. But hey, it's still actually a surprisingly solid card. People are starting to set again, so it's, you know, it's worthy of consideration. It's not a bad card, so it's kind of refreshing to see this card finally get a reprint. And here it is. The reason you should at least buy 1 copy of this. Because if you don't already have Mirror Force, well, duh. It finally got its common printing after so very long. It's a staple to have 1 of it. You don't necessarily run it in every deck by any means, but still, to have the 1 copy in case you need it, duh. So to get this as a common is really good after so many years. About a decade, actually, since this card was originally printed. Not quite, but close. So this was just so much anticipated. This is pretty much the card most people want out of this deck, so it's here, it's awesome. Skull Invitation, old, quasi-useful, same goes for Coffin Seller. Nightmare Wheel, surprisingly good. It's Spellbinding Circle's stronger cousin. It's not a bad card by any means, and it can find its way into a semi-competitive deck. Once again, it's not tier 1, but it's a solid card, and it's nice to have a copy or two of it. Metal Reflectime. This is actually a really good card. And the way the meta is shaping up and maybe going in the future, who knows? This card could work its way into 1 or 2 decks. It's a trap that just turns into a defense position 3,000 point monster. I mean, geez. It's pretty nasty. To be honest, it's a very good card. So, that's great to finally have this in a common printing that everybody can get a playset if they want it. Yeah, it may mean that at your local you may run into something like this that could annoy you, but Scrap Iron fills a similar role. So, anyway, but this is a good thing to stop your opponent and then turn it into a tribute, obviously. So, not bad at all. Malevolent Catastrophe, nice to have an extra reprint on that, that's also a good card. And last but not least, the often overlooked Dark Illusion. This card didn't get the appreciation I think it was worthy of when it originally came out, but it negates monster spells and traps as long as they target dark monster that's face up, and just straight up negates it. So it really has a lot of moments of power. It can stop things like Brainak and Mistworm, for example. This would have been a little bit better maybe when Brain Control was still legal, but hey, I mean, it's still a very solid card and nice to have, even if you're not planning to immediately use it. It's just good to have hanging around for whenever. And right there, this deck would already be worth the $10 in my book, unless you already had most of this stuff. But, you know, if you don't have the greatest size collection, this is a great way to expand your stack of, you know, playable cards, you know, quote-unquote playable. But they also gave us this nice little bonus. They also gave us, okay, you only get 1 copy of these guys in the actual deck, but still. I just had to show off that I bought 3 because, well, I wanted to buy 3. I want to get playsets of those one-ofs. You get 1 copy of Mystical Beast of Serket, and you get 1 copy of Temple of the Kings. Now, Mystical Beast of Serket is legal at 3 if you want to run it, but he has a static effect that says he's destroyed if Temple of the Kings is not on the field. And Temple of the Kings, if you'll check the updated ban list, is banned. You can run 1 of it, interestingly enough, in Traditional, but you cannot run it in Advanced. Meaning that this guy, who doesn't have that great of an effect by himself anyway, is sadly, well, junk. Only in Traditional will this guy even be vaguely worthy of consideration, and even there, probably not. But this card, on the other hand, I mean, they're still both cool to have as a set, especially for nostalgia or whatever, to say, oh, hey, I remember these from way back when, and why didn't we have these earlier? Yeah. But this card is genuinely awesome, and if you even think about playing Traditional, this card is definitely worth having. It's basically Makura the Destructor, only it just sits on the field constantly. It's not as easy to activate as Makura because you can't search it out of your deck or ditch it into the grave quite as easily. But still, it allows you to just instantly set a trap and then flip it and activate it. And if you do have this guy on the field, you can send both of them to the grave to pull a monster from pretty much anywhere. Even your extra deck. It's just incredible, the ability to special summon virtually anything. Lends itself to all kinds of craziness. So, it's really fun. It's one of those awesome Japanese cards that we never got until now. All we have to do now is convince them to give us 6th Sense, and I think we'll be in business. But anyway, there it is. One of the best structure decks, arguably the best structure deck, dollar for dollar, to pick up. While it doesn't have a lot of really anything new or exciting for the players already got a really good collection, for those of you who do not have the biggest or most advanced collection, it's definitely a very good buy, and I highly recommend it. So, I was quite excited by this. I hope you will be too. And until next time, rate, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.